right, so the first part we did May of AD 29. I'll say 29 AD. In it, we were doing the family of Lazarus, and specifically the town of Magdala, which was a station of rich people. And we did the seating of Nathaniel. So today we're going into the month of June in 29 AD. Jesus in Hebron, this is a subtext, Jesus in Hebron, Dothaim, and Nazareth. When Jesus had arrived at Hebron, he left there his companions, saying that he was desirous of visiting a friend. Zechariah and Elizabeth were no more. Jesus then went to the wilderness which lay to the south of Hebron, between it and the Dead Sea, whither Elizabeth had taken the boy John. To reach it, one had to climb a mountain covered with white pebbles, and then cross a lovely valley of palm trees. Thursday, June 2nd, 29 AD. This is 7-2. I saw Jesus entering the wilderness and going into the cave to which John was first taken by Elizabeth. Then he crossed a little brook over which John had also passed. I saw him alone and in prayer, as if preparing for his teaching mission. Friday, June 3rd, 29 AD. When he left the desert, he went again to Hebron. I saw him as he journeyed, lending a helping hand everywhere along the road. At the Dead Sea, he helped some people who were on a kind of raft formed of beams and covered by an awning. On it were men, cattle, and merchandise. Jesus called to them and shoved a plank out to them from the shore. He helped them to land and stood by while they repaired their raft. They were at a loss as to who he was, for though there was nothing remarkable in his dress, yet his charming graciousness and dignity of bearing greatly impressed them. At first they thought it must be John the Baptist, who had already made his appearance at the Jordan, but they soon discovered their mistake, for John's complexion was brown, much darker than that of Jesus, and his whole appearance rough. Saturday, June 4th, AD 29, or 29 AD. Jesus celebrated the Sabbath in Hebron, and there dismissed his traveling companions. He visited the sick in their homes, consoling and assisting them in every way. He raised them in his arms, carried them, and made their beds. But I did not see him curing anyone. To all he appeared to be benevolent, a wonderful person. He visited the possessed, and they grew calm in his presence, though as yet he drove no devil out. Wherever he went, he rendered aid when aid was needed. He raised the fallen. He refreshed the thirsty. He guided the traveler over bridge and brook. And all looked in astonishment upon the kind-hearted wayfarer. Sunday, June 5th, 29 AD. From Hebron, he went to the spot where the Jordan flows into the Dead Sea. Here he crossed the river in a boat, journeyed across the eastern bank to Galilee. Monday, June 6th. I saw him traveling on between Pella and the country of Gergesa, making short journeys and helping all in need. He went to all the sick, even to the lepers, consoling them, raising them in his arms, making their beds, exhorting them to prayer, and pointing out to the admiration of all what treatment was necessary, what remedies to use in the different cases. At one place, some people knew of the prophecies of Simeon and Anna, and they questioned him as to whether he was the one to whom they referred. It was a common thing for people to follow him from one place to another out of the love he inspired. The possessed were calm when near him. Tuesday, June 7th. He went also to the rapid little stream that flows into the Jordan below the Sea of Galilee, the Hieromax. not far from that steep mountain from which he subsequently cast the swine into the sea. Near the river stood a row of little mud huts like shepherds' huts, which were occupied by the men who were at that moment on the shore laboring at their barks. They could not succeed in their work. I saw Jesus go up to them, make some suggestions in a friendly way, drag a beam to the spot, and put his hand to the work. He pointed out various expedients and, as he worked, exhorted them to patience and charity. Wednesday, June 15th. Now here they mention June 8th to June 14th, and they're just saying he's helping them on the side of the Jordan. So here's Wednesday, June 15th. After that, I saw Jesus in Dothaim, a scattered little place northeast of Sepphoris, and in which there was a synagogue. The inhabitants were not bad, though very much neglected. Abraham had once owned fields there for his cattle intended for offerings. Joseph and his brethren used to guard their flocks in the same region, and it was here that the former was sold. Dothaim, at the time of our Lord, was but a sparsely settled place, but its soil was good, and its meadows extended down to the Sea of Galilee. It contained a large building like a madhouse, in which many possessed lived. On Jesus' arrival, they became perfectly furious and dashed themselves almost to death. The keepers could not bind them. Jesus entered and spoke to them, and they became quite calm. He addressed to them a few more words, after which they quietly left the house and repaired to their several houses. The people were amazed at what they saw. They were unwilling for Jesus to depart, and one of them invited him to a marriage feast. Thursday, June 16th. I saw all the wedding ceremonies as at Cana. Jesus was like an honored stranger at the feast. He spoke wisely and graciously, giving the bride and groom good advice. They afterward joined the disciples when Jesus appeared upon Thebes. Friday, June 17th. When Jesus returned to Nazareth, he went around among his parents' acquaintances, but he was everywhere coldly received. When he sought to enter the synagogue in order to teach, they turned him away. Then he repaired to the public marketplace and spoke of the Messiah to the crowd, of whom some were Sadducees, others Pharisees. He told them that the Messiah would be different from what each one's ideas pictured. John the Baptist he called the voice of the wilderness. Two youths, clothed in long garments and wearing girdles like priests, had followed Jesus from the country of Hebron, but they went not always with him. Saturday, June 18th, and Sunday, June 19th, Jesus kept the Sabbath in Nazareth. Monday, June 20th, or Tuesday, June 21st. After that I saw Jesus and Mary Cleophas, the parents of Parmenas, and all about 20 persons leave Nazareth and go to Capernaum. They had with them asses laden with baggage. Wednesday, June 22nd. The house in Nazareth had been cleaned and adorned. It was so well arranged that with its rich hangings it reminded me of a church. It was left unoccupied. The third husband of Mary Cleophas and some of her sons still carried on business in Anne's abode, and they took care of that house of the Holy Family. Mary Cleophas, with her youngest sons Joseph, Barsabas, and Simeon, dwelt at this time quite near to the small house not far from Capernaum, which Levi had fitted up for the Lord, and the parents of Parmenas lived at no great distance. Thursday, June 23rd to Wednesday, June 28th. Jesus journeyed again from place to place and appeared chiefly where John had been when he left the desert. He entered the synagogue and instructed. He consoled and relieved the sick. When he taught in the synagogue of a certain little town and spoke of John's baptism, of the coming of the Messiah, and of penance, the people murmured. They mocked him, and I heard some of them say, 3 months ago his father, the carpenter, was still alive. Then he worked with him. Now he has traveled a little, and back he comes to impart to us his wisdom. Wednesday, June 29. Jesus went also to Cana and taught. He had relatives there whom he visited. At this time, he was not yet accompanied by any of his future disciples. It looked as if he were studying men and building upon the foundation that John had laid. Sometimes a good man accompanied him from place to place. And that is the end of the reading. Now, the first thing I'll say is I cut out all the italicized narratives because I found them in general quite unnecessary. All right, so here are my notes. Now, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to list a lot of the stuff mentioned in the narratives here that were not otherwise mentioned in the text, and they'll all be summarized here so that I don't continuously interrupt the reading with the narratives. So here's the first point of fact. These took place in June 29 AD. So the two buddies that left him and only became believers after the resurrection are named Parmenas and Jonadab. Next, the men he helped, he did so because there was a storm and they were stuck at sea. Next, the wedding he attended was at Dothayim. This was not the wedding at Cana. Next, John the Baptist was already well known, and he was even visited by Herod this month to a place they said was 5 hours south of Aenon. Herod wanted to butter him up with higher living, but John refused it. Of course he did, because it would make John look like a massive hypocrite if he told Herod he couldn't marry the woman, and then Herod would be like, I gave you this, and this is how you treat me. Anyways. Next, Anne Catherine saw the 3 sons of Mary Cleophas were baptized by John on June 25th. They were Simon, James the Less, and Judas Thaddeus. Now, Mary Cleophas is St. Anne's other daughter, the younger one that she had through another husband. Now, that means these were Mary's nephews. And Simon, I think she meant Simon the Zealot. Now, they were her sons to Alphaeus, and she got married 3 times. Mary Cleophas got married 3 times. So, their half-brother, Joseph Barsabas, son of their second husband, was also baptized. Andrew and Philip at this time were already followers of John the Baptist, and they were already probably baptized. It'd be stupid of them not to be. And John had about 20 disciples at this time. Next, he went to Cana, and visited his cousin Mary. That is, his mother's cousin, or his first cousin once removed, because Sobe is the older sister of Saint Anne, Mary's mother. Mary Salome is Mary's sister, that is Mary of Cana's sister. Yep, multiple daughters from Sobe named Mary. Mary Salome is the son of John and James the Greater. So then those 2 apostles are Mary, the Blessed Virgin's cousins, once removed, i.e. the cousins or the sons of her cousin Mary Salome. The wedding at Cana took place only on December 28, and we're still in June. I hope this format is better. I'm trying to make the information as presentable as possible. I may do a subheader for the week and just go from Sunday to Saturday. So I'll say week this of this day to this day, and then list the days of subheaders. So instead of saying Monday, June 2nd, I'll just say Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, etc. Last thing, the only other thing I wanted to mention is that he wasn't performing miracles, so he just decided to do his first public miracle at the wedding by turning water into wine in December. I think he's letting John work. John is like a cement layer laying the foundations of the house. Jesus awaits for the cement to dry, and then we'll start building the house on top of it. But he's letting John work, John the Baptist, and he's just being a nice guy until then. Otherwise, if Jesus got loud, it would undermine John's work a little. Everything is a process. Everything is grassroots. Everything is organic. They grow organically, and we just have to respect the process. A lot of people grow impatient. When you're impatient, when you're, say, cooking, you'll ruin the product. If you're impatient when you're building a house, you'll have cracks in the foundation. You just have to let everything take its course, and that's why Jesus was holding back. I'm sure of it. Anyway, that's it. Ave Maria.